Hello, hello. How's it going? There was a good ass fight night last night. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Plenty to talk about on the betting front, plenty to talk about on the controversial judging front, and plenty to talk about on the badass fights slash badass fighter front. So that's what we do here on the Beefy Boys Breakdown. We're one of the only shows out there going over each and every fight, even the prelims, because that's where you find tomorrow's stars. It's no different than like the type of people that are interested in the NFL draft because they want to know who's up next, or the NBA draft, or like the prelims for the UFC is essentially kind of that similar vein of like that's where you're going to see tomorrow's next stars fighting. And without further ado, let's get Harrison on here.
Yo, what up?
What up, man? It's episode 89 of the Beefy Boys Breakdown. We're going over the Holm versus Vieira fight night card. And like always, we're starting with the prelims, man. We're one of the only ones out there doing that, and I'm proud of that, man. Like I hang my hat on that. Like how we dive deep every week.
Hey, as we said last week, we're the only ones out here doing it. And if we're not, fuck them anyway. We're going to say we are.
And we're doing it better. We're doing it better. No, for sure, man. Because it's like, I mean, the prelims are awesome, dude. Like I said, I mean, almost every fight fan I know that, I mean, granted, it's not a ton, but the guys I know that watch, like, fights, I mean, they love the prelims. You know what I'm saying? So,
I feel like you get more finishes in the prelims, too. So if you're a person that is one of those people that's like, oh, decisions are boring, don't watch the main card. They intend for there to be decisions because the fights are so closely matched.
they're closely matched. Each fighter has, like, more on the line, more reasons to play it safe, wanting to protect that ranking, more on the line. You know what I mean? These hungry guys on the prelims, they're trying to build a name. They're trying to get that highlight. They're trying to get that 50K. And no, it's sick, man. I love the prelims, and man, and what I guess I was talking a little bit in the lead up before you joined us that like the same type of people who probably like the NFL draft or the NBA draft because like they want to see like tomorrow's stars first. That's the prelims in MMA. You know what I mean? I
Literally.
mean, you can make arguments Contender Series or Ultimate Fighter, but for all a lot of those guys are on the prelims.
Yeah, those guys don't debut on the main card. And if they do, it's because you already know who they are. Right?
Yeah, no,
So yeah, to your
exactly.
point, the prelims are the guys that you won't know who they are. And that's why they're on the prelims. But the idea is you will know who one of these guys are eventually.
Yeah, there's a process between not knowing who someone is and being a fan of said person. That
Yeah.
that 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 middle area is where you'll find a lot of these fighters. And I mean, speaking of, man, I think we got a potential future stud on our hands in this very first fight, jerking the curtain. We got Elise Reed minus 150, fighting Sam Hughes plus 130. Harrison, you called this one. This was one we had some parlay action. We'll get into that throughout the podcast. You know, Harrison was really as a whole we killed it. Even the
Yeah, I
parlays
was
we
gonna say I
didn't
think we hit
hit.
9 out of 11.
Yeah, and like I think I was 6 for 8 on my picks. Granted, a couple of my picks were your picks, but like I went 6 for 8, and then yeah, you had a solid ass percentage as well, including one parlay actually hitting fat. So cheers to you, brother.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, no, I mean Sam Hughes. Ever since she's made the camp switch 2 fights ago, she was 5-4 before that. I believe it lost 2 in a row, and so kind of I think for herself had to look inward and ask herself why she was losing, where she was underperforming, and how she could change it and fix it. And then you look at her last fight before this, and her whole game plan was different. Her whole goal was to get a girl up against the cage, get her taken down, maintain top, and just control the fight and win the fight with being the stronger woman with better wrestling, which I kind of thought that'd be the case here too. That was why I liked her at the plus 130. Elise Reed is a Taekwondo background. So for anyone that knows wrestlers and Taekwondo fighters, obviously one wants to get you on one leg and get you on your back. And Taekwondo fighter is very, very apt to go onto one leg to throw a kick, which we actually did see a takedown from that exact thing. The second takedown Sam Hughes got, she caught a kick, put Elise Reed on her back.
Yeah, man, I can't wait to get into this one. Actually, I do want to talk scoring because I feel like I was being a little liberal with my scorecards last night. I was
We'll
handing out
see.
them 10-8s. Yeah, man. Round one, man. I didn't hand out a 10-8. Round one was actually pretty damn competitive. I still gave it to Hughes. She got a takedown. Had some nice ground and pound. Controlled the clinch, elbows, knees. Really, she looked great offensively, but then defensively, Reed was countering back and landing her own big shots that were affecting Hughes on the feet. So both ladies did good work in round one, had their moments.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think if it hadn't been for Hughes being so aggressive with the wrestling approach, that I think Elise Reed probably could have won the first round just keeping it at distance and striking, because at distance, Elise Reed looked better, just flat out.
She was landing flush, landing clean for sure. Yeah, no doubt. But round two is where I thought that like competitiveness started to fade from this match, and really one fighter really started to widen the gap. And I thought that fighter was Sam Hughes. I alluded to it earlier. I go 10-8 in round two. Felder even mentions it a little bit. Felder talked about it. Felder, great broadcast team, by the way. DC,
Yeah.
Felder, and Anik. I fuck with that trio.
I think that's what two out of the broadcasters of the year, right? Didn't we give Felder and DC?
Yeah, no. I think I gave Anik. So I think,
yeah. So yeah, I think I went DC.
Way.
So like we have all three.
I think last year we went Felder is what we're confusing it with. So yeah, like three of our favorite guys. I thought that was a dope broadcast team, both from like a fun wise, but also like a knowledgeable wise. It was awesome. You had the striker, you had the grappler. I mean, the professional. It was a great team. But yeah, I went 10-8. I mean, first off, why did I go 10-8? Because I know not a lot of people did. And I guess we end up with a finish, so we don't get to see the official scorecard. I don't think a lot of people went 10-8 here. I think I'm in the minority. But Hughes dominated bell to bell, and Felder was talking about how there wasn't enough damage for a 10-8. He openly said it. He was like, that's about as dominant a round as you can get without getting a 10-8, because I don't think there was enough damage for a 10-8. Like, there was damage. Now, was it a bloodbath? No. But that's, I'm honestly to the point, I don't know, maybe this might sound weird, but I feel like I'm over just like, oh, more blood equals more damage. Like, that's different people bleed more, bleed less. A lucky strike can make blood. A head clash can make blood. I mean, certain things bleed a lot, but didn't even matter. I mean, we can't just go like, oh, bloodbath equals 10-8. Nope, not a bloodbath equals 10-9. Like, I'm not saying, obviously, Felder is not a simpleton and he knows the game, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know, man. I'm kind of getting over. It's going to seem like I'm being liberal with my 10-8s, but I feel like I'm just looking at it a little more, like, competitively and a little less cavemanish. Like, I don't know.
Well, in your defense, one judge did give a 10-8 in the second round. Ron McCarthy scored a 10-8. I was super close. I even wrote my notes that she had 4 minutes and 51 seconds of control time in a 5-minute round. Yeah, literally bell to bell.
Like, it wasn't super snoozer. I'm not saying it was like all hell breaking loose, but she wasn't just laying and praying. Like, she was active, I thought.
Yeah, no, I agree. I scored it 28 or 10-8, or I'm sorry, 10-9, so I had it 2018. However, I did write, I don't have a problem with the 2017.
Okay, fair enough.
I didn't have a problem. I thought I agreed with Felder's take on, if you're going to be in that position for 4 minutes, 50 seconds, I do want to see you do a little more with it, but I'm not going to knock her for maintaining a dominant position and making it where she took no damage herself. I think that's the thing that gets lost as well, is she didn't take any damage at all.
Yeah, no, and it was literally bell to bell. But no, I feel you, man. Either way, great round for Hughes, and we can all agree on that. And then round three, I mean, Hughes, showed the dog. Showed the dog in her. She went for that kill in the third round. I didn't actually write down the time it actually lasted, but she got that third round finish.
3:52, so with a minute 8 to go, got the finish. But, man, it was one of those finishes where I was happy to see her kind of quit chasing the control and position, and she just started hunting for damage in that third round with the full mount. And it was like, that's exactly what you needed to do. That was going to be the easiest 10-8 I'd ever scored until the ref stopped it, which rightful stoppage. I think Elise Reed was just done, man.
She was done. Yeah, she was done. It was a TKO. She wasn't out, but she was done. You know what I mean? I think those things aren't mutually exclusive. But yeah, she was, the ground and pound elbows, got it done. Started the parlay off right. Cashed at plus 130 for those that bet it straight up. And I don't even – do you remember what DC calling her a quitter? That she was all riled up. She called out DC. She was saying, you called me a quitter. I didn't recall. DC was caught off guard. He's like, oh, no, did I say
He's
that?
Like, I didn't mean to say it, I guess. DC was great about that, man. But No, I mean, I'm sure he did. I'm sure she's not just making that up. And I would guarantee that it came from 2 fights before this one in her last loss that she had,
Was
where
it
she was
Tisha
just,
Torres, I think?
yeah, it was Tisha Torres. Yeah, where
Okay, yeah.
she just wasn't the fighter she is now. It was a mental switch. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't anything
She's
that she was lacking physically.
gotten fucking good, dude. Like, I'm kind of all in. Like, I'm kind of shoveling some coal.
I kind of like her at 115, and I think Elise Reed had a really high stock with the UFC at 115. And
What?
I think the way they're looking at it is they might be able to build a star here out of this girl.
Yeah, man. And like, I don't know. Like I said, I'm pretty high on Sam Hughes. She's looked really good, and she gets better in between fights, which is you love to see it.
I mean,
And
she had
also
12 minutes control time in a 14-minute fight.
matchup wise, right? She's a tough matchup. We talk about strawweights typically being thought of as kind of the striker heavy division, and so wrestlers can have and grapplers can have good success in the division. So yeah, I'm excited for Sam Hughes' future. I'm excited that the strawweight division gets some depth, and we can keep it pushing. Because talking about shoveling coal and talking about being high on prospects, we got Chase Hooper, 22 years old, coming in at plus 160, fighting Felipe Colares at minus 190 in the men's featherweight division. And man, I like Chase Hooper. He's a hell of a social media follower. He's a fun guy. He's obviously has some of the best submissions in the division. I got neither one of us put this fight in our parlay, and I think we both viewed Chase Hooper going into this fight slightly differently than we probably view him after this fight. I mean, we can discuss that, but I thought going into this fight, the reason why I didn't want to bet this fight is that so obviously he was an underdog by Vegas, and that now made me a little gun shy, but also the fact that he was so one dimensional, you know what I mean? And so
And
yeah,
Kolaris is a good grappler.
yeah,
So it wasn't like getting a submission was going to necessarily be easy for Chase Hooper here.
yeah. And I just thought that eventually we've seen it. It doesn't matter what one dimension it is. If you're one dimensional, you get got in UFC. Like you just can't. There's a very mid cap on one dimensional fighters. It doesn't matter if you're a striker, grappler. You got to at least have like 1.5. You can't just be like a
Yeah.
one. Like
It's
like
like
even if
Khabib might be the greatest grappler of all time, but he could still stand and strike.
you get good enough, right? Like that's
Right.
the half. Or like Israel Adesanya can defensively wrestle. That's the half. Like you don't need necessarily 2 out of 3, but you need 1.5 out of 3. I think it's fair to
Absolutely.
say. And, and
Absolutely.
and I guess what I'm getting at is we'll get to a round by round because like I said, my generous scorecards here. I want to see if you agree with me any of these. But starting off round one, I said I was feeling generous, man. I had a 10-8 Hooper.
I did too, and none of the judges did, and I kind of have a bone to pick with the judges over that. Because I swear Felipe Colares, he went out. Because when Chase Hooper got off his head and he didn't really move and then just kind of followed him up, like hanging on to Hooper's body, why would Chase Hooper get up if he didn't think he was out?
You know what? I didn't see that in real time. I might have to go back and watch it. But even that aside, I still considered that like a fight-ending sequence. You know what I'm saying? Or
That's how I felt. That's how I felt.
that was so deep that I kind of view it similar to like a bad knockdown, right?
And
Like
it was
that
a
fight
Saved by
was
the Bell scenario, too. It wasn't like he recovered on his own. It was like time was expiring, and essentially Chase Hooper just decided to quit chasing it because I guess he thought he either had him finished or felt like he couldn't get the finish in that position. But I swear Felipe Colares was out. Like, I swear I
yeah.
saw his hand uncurl.
You texted me that. You know what happened? I think the ref interpreted the uncurling as a thumbs up.
I swear, because his like hand
He was like,
relaxed and his thumb was up, and he was like, "Oh, thumbs up, good." And it's like, that's not a thumbs up?
I think that, you know what, I was wondering if that's what you were talking about, and that was a little iffy for sure. But also, Chase Hooper started to drop some elbows, too. He was very elbow
Yeah,
heavy, which I love to see because we were talking about one-dimensional. Striking doesn't necessarily have to be from the feet in a mixed martial arts contest. You can improve your striking from the ground. And for a grappler, it was a great marriage of skills
I
because,
thought I thought his attacks from his jiu-jitsu limited his ability to get hit too. I thought he was
oh,
taking less ground and pound and dropping more ground and pound. It was a crazy sequence switch to see for him.
and it was just so entertaining. I mean, the transitions and sweeps, and I mean, I feel like I watched, Chase Hooper do shit I've never seen anybody do before. Now, clearly that wasn't true, and somebody somewhere has done it, but he was just chaining them together it was insane. He looked like just like an amorphous blob. Like he looked like he was like the Terminator 2, how he could just like melt away and just like change the suit.
Yeah, the
Like,
T-1000.
yeah, he just like it was crazy. It was what they said against the high level Brazilian jiu-jitsu, actual Brazilian, like a guy from Brazil. Like, hey, I was so damn impressed. We both gave round one a 10-8. I was impressed. I'm glad you did too. I thought I was on an island there.
No, I mean, I for me, it's like if you almost get the fight finished and the guy is literally on death's door. And Felipe Colares had a good first 60 to 90 seconds and did nothing past that. So for me, it was like for him to get dominated for almost 3 minutes and then almost get finished. I feel like that was dominant enough for a 10-8 for me, at least. Sounds like it was for you. Obviously not these judges, which they're wildly, wildly wild last night. Like the split decisions were crazy last night. We had 3 splits on the main card out of 5 fights.
Out. These judges saved my parlay, but
also didn't.
But yeah. So 10-8 in round 2. All respect in the world to Colares, because after, like I said, almost getting finished, we had him getting 10-8'd. Comes back, and I had him winning round 2, man. Now, it wasn't nearly like you couldn't say it was dominant, and you could even make an argument for Hooper.
That round was wild, man. It was just a full scramble for 5 minutes.
It was a scramble in which Hooper, unlike the first round, spent most of the round on bottom. Now, was he active as fuck from the bottom?
Threw up a lot of sub attempts.
Yeah, and was Colares really doing anything or causing any damage? No, like you were alluding to earlier. So, like I said, I'm not too bullish on this. However, I did give it to Colares. She was able to, win a couple scrambles, keep the top position, avoid getting subbed. I don't know. Did you give it to Hooper?
Man, I did not even write down a score for that round. I wrote that I thought it was pretty much impossible to score because it just both guys did the exact same things. And it was hard for me to discern who was in control in a lot of those positions because a lot of the time Colares was on top, but he was defending like a knee bar or an ankle lock.
Oh yeah,
or a triangle submission.
But he did defend all of them, successfully. And not only did he defend him, he would defend him and then keep top position while defending.
It's true. It's probably Colares' round, but it's hard for me to agree with someone like Adelaide Bird on a round.
Well, and there, we can't stand Adelaide Bird. And also, there is an argument to be made for Hooper, and nobody's out of line for giving that round to Hooper for sure. I'm not dying on that hill.
Super fun round. As far as watching that round, so fun to watch.
No, for sure. It was. I mean, I'm sure guys that actually into jiu-jitsu, guys who watch Submission Underground, they probably had full blown wood. It was just
at one point, Hooper gets caught in a crucifix. Throws his legs up over the top and catches Colares' arm from behind. And remember that? He has his arm caught behind him.
That's the one where I was like, I don't remember seeing that done.
Yeah, I've never seen that done before.
Okay, I think that's what I was talking. Yeah, no, there was, and that wasn't the only. Hooper was doing things in the grappling world that was just dropping my uneducated jaw. Seriously, it was.
Yeah.
It was for people that say grappling's boring. Really watch that. And if you watch that and still think grappling's boring, then hey, maybe it really isn't for you. Maybe you're a boxing guy. Maybe you're a Muay Thai guy. Maybe you're a K1 guy.
And tell me Chase Hooper's not dangerous as hell being able to get to those positions because I've never seen anyone be long enough and flexible enough to even do those things.
Who's the jiu-jitsu guy? Is it Ryan Hall who always does the M&R rolls?
Yes, yeah.
So I'll be real. Going into this fight, I kind of viewed him and Chase Hooper in a similar light, that gimmicky jiu-jitsu kind of lane of fighter. I got to be real. Chase Hooper, he branched off from that to me. He uses his jiu-jitsu to help him be better at MMA. And that may seem like a Captain Obvious statement, but we've seen a lot of high-level jiu-jitsu guys struggle to make it translate to the cage, right?
How much more calm did Hooper look in the cage to you? Before we get to round 3, I thought noticeably when the fight started, I'm used to seeing Hooper's eyes look like that when he fights, right? Just wide open. I didn't see that from this fight, which made me feel like he was a lot more comfortable.
But also calm, but not in a passive way, an
aggressive
calm. Like you know what I mean? Like
Like a focused aggression. You know what I mean? Not so much
yeah,
like a timid like reaction.
yeah, not wide eyed, not fight or flight, but like warrior on a
Like
mission. Yeah,
preparedness. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, I feel you. I saw that too. Like I said, Hooper. I always liked Hooper from like a fan perspective, from like a fun perspective, from a personality, Twitter follow, that type of perspective. But I'm telling you, man, last night he showed me some shit. Like
Yeah, I
the well,
legitimately am
he's
excited for
rounding
his
out
next
that
future,
skill
for
set.
his future in his next fight. Like I want to see him fight again.
He's using the jujitsu to gain position and to inflict strikes, and you know what I mean. Like just tying it all together, just connecting
So
those dots. It's beautiful.
so I think to your point there, round three is literally a display of exactly what you just said. And for the first round, whenever he almost finished him, he was continuing to chase submissions that there were obvious times, and Felder was calling for it, that if he was just dropping strikes straight down, he was going to be hitting Kolaris hard, right? And Kolaris was
Yes,
exhausted come round three. And I think Hooper realized all those things together, quit chasing the submission finish, and just started going for a hard ground and pound from using jiu-jitsu to get to the top position and
yeah,
stay in control. Like his ability to use his jiu-jitsu
and
defensively
tie
from the
up the
top,
legs and
right?
all that. And
Catch the head to reset him.
he was even doing a great job of getting his knee on the wrist
Yeah,
of Kolaris and like kind of a like a half crucifix. Like I don't even know. You know what I'm saying? Like he would what Khabib does with his hands, Hooper was doing with his knees. You know what I'm saying? Pinning it,
yeah.
control, like wrist control to where you can't block his face. And then he was just dropping bows. And I loved how he was just dropping like little, they weren't hard bows, but just so many
They
of
were
them. And just,
effective.
and just yeah.
And like,
Speaking of like blood or not blood, like so many guys would have been a bloody mess. Kolaris just wasn't cutting. He ate like, you know what I mean, a bunch of bows. That's what I'm saying. We can't just go off who's bleeding more. You know
he's
what I
got
mean?
that
Because
fantastic Brazilian skin like Charles Oliveira. Like, think
yeah,
about Charles Oliveira. He doesn't hardly ever get cut. He eats some of the biggest shots I ever see. He'll just like get a goose egg and it won't split his skin. And I don't know how it works.
that moisturized. I bet they got like a night routine on them Brazilians. But hey, man, no, but seriously, man, like I'm super stoked on Chase Hooper. Like always was, but I gotta be real. Like I'm branching out from like the Chase Hooper's fun to like damn Chase Hooper's for real.
Yeah, he doesn't feel like a gimmick to watch fight anymore, right? Like now he legitimately
Yeah,
feels like a well-rounded fighter that has an extremely strong, like one skill set, but he has everything else is at least to par now.
yeah, and he was winning exchanges on the feet
Even
too.
on the
We
feet,
can't
I was
like
just gonna say, even on the feet, he didn't look terrible. Didn't look outclassed.
bro, he was winning the exchanges. Like that's what I'm saying. Like we got to put some respect on this man's name. I mean, Kolash isn't a world beater, but that was a good test. He was a Vegas underdog, and he passed with flying colors. We had him winning every round. We both gave him a 10-8. He gets the finish. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, I thought he borderline deserved a bonus. I don't think he
He
got
did get a
one.
bonus.
Oh, he did?
First bonus of the night was awarded Chase
Oh,
Hooper.
cool. Okay, cool. I didn't have him written down. I didn't think he did. Okay, cool. I'm happy for my man Chase. Yeah, just he seems like he's got a good head on his shoulders. You know, young man. He's married. He's 22 years old, man. They said that he feels like an NBA prospect with a high ceiling, like a John
Mm-hmm.
Morant, or like you know what I'm saying, like
Or like Giannis when Giannis was so young. Like he could only do one thing, which is dive to the rack and be big in the post. You know what I'm saying? As a guy that can possess the ball.
right.
But now he can kind of shoot a little bit better. His free throw percentage has gone up slightly. He's
Way better.
his defense is way better. Like as much as Giannis improved from just being so young and getting to grow into who he really is, Chase Hooper's going through the same thing right now. That does bring an interesting
Chase
point
Hooper
up,
at
though.
like 27, bro. Like, what is Chase Hooper at 20? Like, is he on some Max
Well,
Holloway shit?
I
You
think
know
he
what I'm
fights at
saying?
55. If I'm
Oh
being
yeah,
quite honest,
but he's
too.
6'1". That's still dope. And by then, all the stars will be aged out. He can wait out. Right?
I think
No,
55 is a way better division for him. It's way older at the top. Makes way more sense for him to make that rise through it.
I'm excited. That's fun. That's fun. And we can keep it pushing, man, because this is another one of your nice H Matty picks. But
I just love Jonathan Martinez, man. This was more of a gut pick, and I just love watching him fight.
well,
He's so calm, cool, and collected every time he steps in the octagon. Hard for me to pick against Jonathan Martinez.
I do too. Vegas agrees with you. They had him at -275. You know what kept me from betting alongside you on this one was I didn't know that much about Vince Morales, and I've gotten burnt at the sports book a few times of really liking one guy, but not
And not
knowing
knowing
too
enough
much
about his
about the
opponent.
opponent. Like that's
Yeah.
bit me in the ass quite a few times at the old, betting booth. So that's why I eased off this one. You know what I mean? But that's the only reason why. I'm also a big fan of Martinez. Martinez's skill set is so polished. Like,
It's so pretty, and his composure when he fights is insane. He doesn't chase anything, which might be to his detriment in some situations.
hot take. Is he the best striker at bantamweight?
Is he though? Like he really might be,
he?
right? Like he's in
Is
and out,
he?
dodging shots, countering. He'll actually be able to walk you down and strike with you as well. His leg kicks are insane.
Insane. He rarely gets touched. His defense is top notch.
Yeah.
His fight IQ is top notch. His range control is top notch. Like I said, his leg kicks.
His movement's good too, man. Getting backwards and off the center line.
Somebody with a real good jab giving him problems, because that's the only thing Morales landed all night. That left hand jab was landing pretty stiff, but that's it, and he wasn't able to follow it up. This is one I don't think we necessarily have to go round by round. I mean, this was an outclassing. This was a fucking just a textbook. This was a master class, if you will. I mean, Jonathan Martinez, man, not a household name.
Not yet, but I think Felder was doing him a lot of justice in this fight, because as it continued, Felder kept talking about how slick his striking was, how good his skill set seemed to be, and that he might be on the precipice of fighting a ranked opponent next, which at 35, that's a big deal.
We might be some of the only people beating his drum too, because this is the first time we've ridden the old Jonathan Martinez nutsack. We love this guy. You know what I'm saying? But rightfully so. We know what we're looking at here. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. To our credit, man. I mean, we've seen him fight Thomas Almeida, Davy Grant, Lajashvili, Perez. I mean, he lost to Davy Grant. But other than that, man, he's undefeated in the UFC aside from Andre Ewell in a split decision and Davy Grant.
It's a bad loss, because I think Andre Ewell is no longer with the promotion, so that's not doing him any favors.
But it's a February 2020 split decision, so
yeah. I feel you. I mean, I love the guy. I'm high on him. I'm shoveling coal. It's hard not for me to not want him to see a fight like a guy like O'Malley. And I know that's such a cliche thing to say, and we say it all the time, but from an actual striker's delight, you know what I'm saying? That's actually a sick matchup. I know we kind of cheaply throw that matchup around on a week-to-week basis, just being fucking podcasters talking out our ass. But seriously, from a striker's delight perspective, I mean, now granted, bantamweight's full of strikers, so I mean, there's so many fun matchups there.
So it's for people at home that want, because like we said, doesn't necessarily need to go round by round. It's a 30-27. Yeah. It's a masterclass showing by Martinez every round. I honestly thought the fight was going to get stopped in the second round after looking at Morales' leg after round one. The swelling on his calf was literally it was halfway down his leg, the goose egg. If it had continued to grow, the doctor would have stepped in, because compartment syndrome is going to happen from that.
I was eating and I had to stop. It was gross.
And he just kept getting it chewed on the inside too. As the fight progressed, he was tough as shit to just keep taking those. But his leg was chewed, man. And his last fight out, he got stopped by leg kicks against teammate of Jonathan Martinez, Chris Gutierrez.
Really? Oh, I didn't know
that was the whole reason I love Martinez, was that I knew the team was the same team, and they already had the game plan to beat him, and they'd already done it once, and he has a super similar skill set to Gutierrez. That's why I like Martinez so much in this fight.
So this made I like how you did that. So you had a prelim parlay and a main card parlay. So that's kind of fun. I like how you did that. So that this fight made you 2 for 2 on your prelim parlay, and you were off to a good start.
Yeah, I was feeling good. Now, granted, those first two were the two I was most confident on. So the next two, out of the 4 legs, I was like, these next two are going to be the ones that make me sweat and just be nervous.
Oh, yeah, no, we were sweating this next one hard, because I was betting this one alongside you. We had Omar Morales minus 145 against Uros Medic plus 125 in the lightweight division. And we both had Medic, the underdog, and in a parlay, which putting an underdog in a parlay, I mean, that's a let your nuts hang kind of move. I mean, this parlay, this prelim parlay had 3 underdog bets on it. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I'm good.
What's up, Vegas? I'm here for your money.
What up? But yeah, man, fuck William and fuck Hill. You know what I'm saying? But no, you know what? I'll be real. This is gonna sound kind of dumb. Hear me out. Hear me out. I couldn't exactly remember Euros Medic, but I remember that I really liked him. I don't know.
Dude,
Did that
he's
ever
so
happen to you?
funny. He's
Did
so
that ever
funny.
happen to you though?
Yes.
Like I
I
can't like X's and O's. Like
yes,
who
I
did
could
he
not remember him
fight
as a
last?
fighter. I could remember him as a person. That is exactly how I could remember him.
I remember we liked him as a fighter too, and that he's a stud. I was like, this Medic guy. I was like, getting plus money on Medic. I just liked it. It jumped off the screen to me even without. Like I said, my subconscious knew it. You know what I'm saying? Like something we'd watched this guy fight before. I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but I like getting plus money on Medic. I just did.
I will say too, though, with it being Omar Morales as his opponent, I was a little nervous because Morales doesn't have the best UFC record, but he fights tough dudes. Giga Chikadze, Gabriel Benitez,
Woo!
Jonathan Pierce, Shane Young.
Yeah,
Like he fights dudes that are dudes, and those are all at 45. And then he went up,
monsters.
obviously, this fight to 55. And he's a big dude. Like I can't believe he could make 45
Was
because
he
he's
the bigger
5'11.
man in this fight?
Yeah, much bigger. Like looked much bigger. Also, John Anik, you got to be careful when you say some stuff because he was like, "This guy loves Venezuela, proudly represents it." Like that's one of the worst countries on the planet right now. So let's be careful, John Anik.
Yeah, I know. It's a tough. The geopolitics, the fact that the UFC is able to navigate geopolitics, it's kind of astounding. Like, there's literally
Yeah.
like countries that are at war, and they have these like signed to the same promotion. Maybe train at the same gym. You know what I'm saying?
Well, especially guys like Nikita Krylov that remove their Ukrainian flag from their shorts and name and like want to not display it as their hometown. Like that clearly sends a message one
Because
way or
he's
the other.
pro-Russian, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Right, right,
that's
right. Because
tight.
he's from the Donetsk region, Luhansk
Oh,
region,
really?
and his
Oh, that's
parents were Russians when he was like right before he was born. Before the USSR fell, his parents were Russians. They lived in Leningrad.
what that reminds me of, kind of like the people that fuck with the Confederates still real hard. You know what
Right.
I'm
It's
saying?
like, but
Yeah,
it's like their
we have
parents
that
raised them
here.
to be that way.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
No,
like a
it's
lineage
interesting.
deal.
Interesting, man. But theirs happened just in like 1991. You know what I'm saying? Like that's
Yeah.
recent. Yeah,
Yeah.
that like I said, I think it's so hard not to get into geopolitics when you talk UFC because these guys are all from like those parts of the world. You know what I'm saying? Like
And they represent a lot of those things about that part of the world.
yeah, and then, but I mean, on the same note, the fact that we're able to set all that aside, you know what
And
I
yeah,
mean?
and make it just a
It,
sport and competition.
it's cool. It's
Well,
cool. It's interesting though. It's interesting.
and I will say, not necessarily a knock on well, yes, it is the NFL and NBA. They get too caught up in social issues where I'm like, sometimes I just wanted to just disengage from all that and watch the sports. Now, I'm not saying they're wrong, and I'm not saying it's even pushed down my throat. Like a lot of people act like it is. It's really not.
You
You know
know
what I
what,
mean?
bro? You know what? Anybody else would have said that to me, I might have felt that a type of way about that. But I know we're purely talking sport here, and there's no
Yeah.
like undertones or connotations there. And I
Yeah.
actually agree with you because when I'm watching UFC, just like never brought up, right?
Yeah,
Like
like I just don't even think about it, but I
it's kind of
appreciate that I
not.
don't think about it.
I never realized that until I heard you say it. And I'll be real, if I would have heard anyone else say it, I wouldn't have liked it. But you know what I'm saying? I know where you're coming from.
Yeah, because it's not like I
I
don't want those guys to have a voice. Like I want them to stand for what they want to stand for, and what is right is right. You know what I mean? What is wrong is wrong.
but also, the UFC also allows these guys to go on their own free time and go on
And that's
podcasts
the
or
thing
Twitter
is they're
and
not
talk about
managing what
whatever they
they
want.
exactly. They're not going to tell their fighters what they can and can't say, and so by doing that, they don't have to say it for them.
For example, like Chikadze has been very pro-Georgian, which you can't be pro-Georgian without being anti-Russia. Like you know what I'm saying? And I don't think the UFC's ever like texted somebody behind closed doors and been like, "Hey, tone it down. Whether
There's
it's
no fucking way.
Tyron
Think about Colby
Woodley,
Covington. There's no way.
Colby Covington, Tyron Woodley, to Giga Chikadze, to, I mean, like I said, we're talking geopolitics here. There's so many.
Krylov removing that shit from his shorts. Like, it's not like he spoke outwardly about it, but it's not like he took a pro Ukrainian approach.
And it's UFC allowed him to do that, and Joe Rogan talks about it all the time. It has to be a two-way street. Freedom of speech.
Yes.
You can't only like agree with folks and like and that's like the hypocrisy I see so much out of, like I said, me leaving the Bay Area and like that type of people. Like, they want like the people they agree with to get away with murder, sometimes quite literally, but then the opposition to be like silenced. And you can't have it both ways. Like, you have to have freedom of speech. It's a two-way street. Freedom of expression is a two-way street. And I think the UFC's kind of hands-off approach, as you alluded to, I think you're right.
I think that's the best way to do it, because then you don't have to stand for anything. You just let your fighters stand for who they want to be. Let them be the people they want to be. Don't tell them who to be.
Yeah, and if it wrecks their brand or whatever, it wrecks their brand. It doesn't wreck the UFC's
That's the
brand.
thing. Like for Covington, he's the prime example here, right? Because what he stands for is not the majority, is not how most people see it, is not what most people want to hear. So it garners hatred, but hatred still sells, man. In sports, if you hate a team, I guarantee you'll watch them lose.
We got a little off the tracks here. We'll bring it back into the cage, but like I said, it's so hard to discuss the UFC without kind of hitting on some of these geopolitical issues. But yeah, I mean, so we're talking. We're still getting to this Medic Morales fight. Honestly, I don't think we even really fully dived.
No, we haven't even dove into it. Now, I will say for Euros Medic, and I always forget this whenever I read his name and hear his name. He's from Alaska. I mean, he's born in Serbia but raised in Alaska, so he speaks clear English, and is pretty much just a white dude from Alaska.
Yeah, no, I forgot that too. That's interesting. I didn't know that either. That is very interesting. But man, so round one, we were sweating this one out. We were both betting this fight. We were sweating. Round one, I gave it to Morales, man. Even as somebody who bet against him. He was landing with power and with his hands and the body kicks. Now, Medic ended the round very strong. And if you gave that round to Medic, especially considered our bias, I'm not.
That's what I was going to say. Is I think I was unfair in my bias, but he did drop Morales badly, and Morales was saved by the bell at the end of round one. And even though I did write the Medic was behind the entirety of the round, I thought that one big shot might have put him ahead on a total overall damage or effectiveness. So I don't know. It's hard for me to say, honestly.
It's fair. That's a very fair point. Like I said, maybe I was even trying to like counterbalance my bias. I'm not sure, but like I gave it to Morales. I mean, it's just how do you if one guy wins like 4.5 minutes of a round, but then somebody at the very end of the round drops him, hurts him bad. It's different people are going to score that different ways. I think that's totally in bounds. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Now, like you said, Medic ending the round strong did make me feel much better as a guy who had bet on Medic. So I was like, okay, we're got something here. We're cooking with gas.
Okay, he can do it. Like because his counters were whiffing pretty bad at the start of the fight.
3 minutes, I was like, oh goddamn, here goes the part.
Yeah, me too. I was like, oh no, like this guy, he just needs a power shot, and if that's all my hope is, I don't want to sit here and hope for a power shot all night.
Oh yeah, that's the worst feeling as a bettor. Just hoping for a one shot. It's the worst feeling ever as a bettor.
Now, to Medic's credit, he came out the second round and looked like a different. Like I think landing that shot put him in the zone where he was like, "Oh, okay, this is it."
Yeah.
And once he found that groove, round two was so different from round one. Like it wasn't even the same fighter.
From an X's and O's perspective, it's probably the timing is what he actually found. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And but what into your credit, what you were saying is like once he found it, it was just bang, 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 bang. I mean, he dropped Morales 3 times in 3 minutes.
3 lefts, so just 1-2s, just literally cross, right cross, left jet or left hook, right cross, left hook,
perfectly placed. Yeah, no, it was it was on repeat. He kind of spammed it, honestly. You know what I mean? Like a video game. Like
literally, like he just spammed one combo. Like, it was like, I hit it once and like it felt good, so I just ran it a couple more times. And like after he landed the first one, Morales was clearly on Dizzy Street. And just looking around, eating shots. great chin for him, to be quite honest, because he never went fully out. And Medic has crazy power from what we've seen from his other fights.
Yeah, I saw a couple people online arguing early stoppage, but it's like, all right, you get dropped 3 times in 3 minutes. Like in boxing, that's a knockout. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
well,
Like,
Felder actually said that because they were watching the replay. And he goes, maybe an early stoppage there. And he looks up into the octagon. And he goes, yeah, but from his body language right now, guys, like he's done.
it's like, what's that account on Instagram? CTE Society, where they always like make jokes. It's like, oh, clearly he was pulling guard there. You know what I'm saying? but like, or like clearly he was going for a single leg. But like, but no. I mean, I had no problem with the stoppage. I think if you wanted to see Morales like get dropped more, I mean, granted, as somebody who had money on Medic, I was like, get me the fuck out of this fight. Like,
Right, like, hey, I don't want any judges' scorecards. I don't want the opportunity for Medic to even eat one more shot. Like for me, it was like seeing Medic get the TKO though and hitting 3 out of 4. I was like, let's go. That was the hardest leg in my mind.
I lost my shit because I had it as a comeback. You know what I'm saying? On my scorecards, it was a comeback, and I was like, oh, I lost my shit. I was going crazy. You would think I had fucking $10,000. You would think I had, you know what I'm saying? I would have bet my left net on these fights, but yeah, no, it's fun. Putting a little bread on it really does make it more fun, man.
It makes it more fun. I swear it does.
Bet responsibly. You know, don't bet your rent money. Don't be a fucking jerk off. But seriously, I mean, hell, I'm not ashamed to say I bet fucking like $10. It was a lot of fun. I could have won a lot of money. I could have I looked at I was at the sports book today when I was cashing the ticket, and so what we got was 4-leg parlays at the sports book. It's automatically 11-1. So it's whatever you're gonna get, like the median or the average of all your money lines or whatever, and then you get 11-1 on top of that. So
see, that's tight too, and we must have the odds must have actually been against us even still. Like it must have still been a plus parlay overall because we got more than that.
Oh yeah, I think
so we actually had an underdog parlay.
Yeah, it hit. Yeah. I'm stoked on it. It was brilliant. But man, this next fight, honestly, it was a fun fight. Now, it's very rare that you get a fun fight that's minus 600. But this fight had storylines.
This is why we watch the prelims, right? Because this guy is special. This guy's different. I got coal in the engine. I got a snow shovel out.
We're about to see the Hamzat double weight class between light heavy and heavy. We haven't seen that. That's
right.
Sick.
Like, can he walk around at 230 and fight in heavyweight and still be this effective against all of them like he was? Which, obviously, that's going to change a little bit against the bigger guys that are more skilled. But Parker Porter's not a slouch.
No, Parker Porter's good. When I saw he was minus 600 over Parker Porter, you know something, to be honest? I honestly was sweating this. So I put this in my parlay. You did not. I put it as just your classic parlay builder. Throw the minus 600 guy on there just to get an extra leg and get that 11-1. Now, the least confident I've ever been in minus 600. And it's because I do respect Parker Porter. You know what I'm saying? Like Parker Porter
it has less to do with Jonathan Almeida's skill set.
Yes, exactly. And we've only seen, I think this was Almeida's second fight. So it's like we don't have a large body of work. Like he looked obviously really good last time. But, Parker Porter's shown us time after time that, he's got a skill set. He can compete. Now, this was a tough matchup for him, obviously. It was last minute, short notice fight. But like I said, any light heavyweight against Parker Porter, I would have, doubts. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like doubts, like question marks, you know what I'm saying? But like I said, I had this included in my parlay.
Man, it's like I think great parlay building, by the way. I just didn't take it because I didn't know how the weight would affect him. Now, clearly in hindsight, not at all.
Mark. It was a question mark. That's what I'm saying. I was nervous about the question mark. There was a big elephant in the room.
I will also say Jonathan Almeida has won, I believe, 11 in a row now. And
I have that written down in 2 weight classes.
And that includes wins over Nasruddinov, which is was a high prospect. Not Imavov. That's Nasruddin Imavov. This is Nasrudov.
I pulled a chair.
Nasruddinov. John Johnson. John Johnson. No,
Massive ass.
but now his last fight in the UFC before this, he knocked out Danilo Marquez in 3 minutes. And I think that's where
That's
we
a
all
good
were
win.
like, yeah. And that's where we were all like, oh. And that was his UFC debut.
Yeah.
And I remember Bisping losing his mind and interviewing him and being just overjoyed with the performance that he saw. So I think the expectation for Almeida is pretty high. Like
Dude,
I think
I'm
it's
on board.
very
I'm on
high.
board. Like honestly, I'm on board to the point where like I'm on board at heavyweight too. I honestly maybe I fall for gimmicks and maybe it's cliche or whatever, but it's like I hope he bounces back and forth. Like at least for a while, like Hamzat did until he like was a
Found
real
which
like
one was easier to run or more comfortable.
because I mean the guy he beat weighed in at 265. So like the size isn't a thing, and he's like 6'4", 6'5".
See, and
Uh,
I think 205 is a
so
better run for him right now at the back end, man. Because I think guys like Romanov, Sakai, Pavlovich, Tybura, those are all
tough
pretty tough
matchup.
fights. But I think guys like Ryan Spann, Jimmy Crute, Dustin Jacoby, those all seem like Jailton Almeida is going to smash those guys tomorrow. And he could fight tomorrow. I think that's important for us to note. I believe he only got punched 4 times.
Yeah, at one point, I honestly thought he was going to pull a Hamzat and win a fight without getting hit. We
Oh
were
no, he did. He did. Parker Porter didn't throw one strike. Didn't even throw a strike.
okay. I was about to say it because it was complete domination. He had like a big slam takedown on a guy that weighs 265, which was just impressive enough. And
And then another one, like got him down twice that way.
Almeida, I mean, he's essentially like an NFL defensive end. Like, I mean, he's 6'4" and just absolutely jacked.
Shred City.
He was at 224, but he was like partially into a weight cut. Like, I think he walks at like 235. And
Yeah.
I mean, he just absolutely shred city with just like it's like model abs and bodybuilder pecs. Like, I mean, just
Shoulders that are like literally cut over his biceps. Like you can see where the shoulder like hangs over.
like he literally looks like rookie sophomore season Julius Peppers. Like just
Seriously.
just
Robert Quinn body. Like it's crazy.
specimen. Yeah, man, and he just took him down. No, I was surprised to see him go immediately for the takedown. Proved to be the obvious right move. He got the takedown very easily and never lost position. And
His grappling on top, man.
Porter.
He has that Dagestani top style, not even a Brazilian style. Like he likes to go wrist control, leg control.
Yeah, no, he tied up the legs. I mean, Parker Porter. I mean, it was over. He just got pounded out. Just heavy shots. I mean, he has long arms, so like the leverage he's able to create, like on ground and pound punches.
And he kind of has that John Jones-ish. The strikes he was throwing were not necessarily always the obvious strike. Like the uppercut he threw underneath with the right that it hurt Porter. That was a creative strike.
Yeah, no, it's like the boxes that he's checking are like numerous. Like just,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, the physique is there, the technique is there, the mindset it seems is there.
The like fight IQ, the well-roundedness,
and it seems like he has elite skills.
And I mean, is this the best athlete in the UFC? Like seriously,
like he really might be. That's what I'm saying. Like the physique is off the charts.
Like plus athlete. Like
yeah, like your NFL type dude. You know what I mean? Like he would be good at other sports. Like volleyball, I guarantee he's a monster at volleyball. Guaranteed.
Like, yeah, imagine if he grew up playing basketball, he'd probably hoop. Like, I mean, just stud of all, like Adonis, whatever word you want to use, man, just jumps off your television screen. Like, yeah.
And I think we say all that to say he got the rear naked choke with 4 minutes 35 seconds in, but literally had 4 minutes 29 seconds of control time. Did not control 6 seconds of the fight before he ended it.
Yeah. No, seriously.
Didn't get punched. I mean,
he Hamzatted him essentially, like,
and it's Parker Porter. It's not just John Phillips or the guys that Hamzat started with.
That's a better win than Hamzat's.
Mm-hmm.
Those early ones. Parker, like I said, we both respect Parker Porter. We've been about as friendly to the guy as we could possibly be for a guy that got ran through like that. You know what I mean? So,
dude, like, Porky Parker Porter.
We love him. I mean, like the guy's got skills. I think he'll go on to win more fights after this. You know what I'm saying? And like, I mean, he's a good fighter. But Jailton Almeida is a dude. I mean, what's he going to be the next time he fights a light heavyweight? minus 800. You know, are we gonna get Makachev like money lines now from this guy?
Now, here's what I do want to ask you. Almeida did not get a bonus, and I thought he might have had the best performance on the card.
Yeah, no, I honestly think he deserved one over Hooper. To be honest,
Kind of how I feel too, because you already know what the other bonus is going to be aside from fight of the night. There's not too many other finishes. In fact, only
is it
two
the
more.
Next fight?
It is not.
Okay, I thought it was. So I mean, yeah, Johnson Almeida. I mean, I don't know. We jerked him off plenty. He gets the win. You know, absolute stud. I'm on the tips of my seat, waiting to see what he's booked next for. Jesus Christ! Like, seriously. I mean, you actually, my bad, bro. Do you mind pulling up the back end of light heavyweight? Just real
I got it
quick?
right. Yeah, I got it right here. So, back in, like I said, Dustin Jacoby, Jimmy Crute, Johnny Walker, Ryan Spann.
How about? All right, I'm gonna challenge you. Keep reading names until you read a name that he doesn't starch, because I think we have 4 starchings right there.
Okay, Nikita Krylov.
Krylov's good.
Krylov's
He's
good.
good.
I think
That
that's
might be
where
the
I
name,
think I
but
think
yeah.
that's it. Because then you get Jamal Hill, Volkan Ozdemir, Paul Craig. I think those are guys that give him a lot harder.
Ozdemir too, but I don't really like Ozdemir.
I think Ozdemir's fight style is a really bad matchup for Almeida too. Whereas Paul Craig is a tough matchup for Almeida because Craig wants you to take him down.
Yeah. Well, Paul Craig's a tough matchup for anybody. He's just one of those guys. But
just a weirdo.
Yeah, man, I'm high on Almeida. If you can't tell, I think he can beat several ranked guys.
Well, I guess that means we can keep it pushing to parlay time.
Yeah, bro, this was Sweat City, man, because we didn't bet a winner. We bet under 1.5. Ballsy pick. Yeah, for any fight, literally even the Ngannou fight, like under 1.5 rounds is like, I mean, it's not easy. It's not even common to see.
Well, because plenty of times we see guys go out and they will spend the first 5 minutes just feeling each other out, and they kind of start actually engaging in the second round, and that only leaves you with 2.5 minutes.
Yeah.
Now, thank God, here we have Joseph Holmes versus Alan Amadovsky. Joseph Holmes is the minus 200 favorite. Amadovsky plus 170. As you said, we don't give a shit really who wins for the parlay. Yeah. For those at home, it's $25 parlay to win $335. So, what's up, Vegas? So, as you said as well, we bet under 7.5 minutes fight time. Amadovsky, love that man. 28 months off, comes out throwing bombs. Looks like he just wants to be out there. The whole reason I took under 1.5 on this was because Amadovsky doesn't need to be in the UFC. He's a terrible fighter. He will get starched by anyone in the weight. So, put a lot of faith in Joseph Holmes here because Joseph Holmes isn't that good either.
Hands. Well, he does have hands, though. Even he lost his last fight, but he was like exchanging. Like he showed he had hands.
See, that's the thing is he has hands. He lacks any other skills except for really good hands.
Your text message to me, when we were discussing this bet, was like both of these guys have terrible defense. What to do under 1.5? Like you called out the lack of defense, and it was immediately on display. Both guys. Shots. I felt good about this as soon as the fight started. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. As soon as I saw Amadovsky like moving forward, just eating shots and throwing bombs, I was like, yes, make it a brawl. I was literally screaming for blood.
Under 1.5, like it can't be a pretty fight. Like, if any guy is showing any semblance of defense, we're fucked.
Yeah, right. Like if anyone's being calm, cool, and collected, if they're Jonathan Martinez, I'll never bet him under 1.5. Oh, I would never.
We should start betting him over like every time. Like that's
honestly,
easy money. Yeah, no.
No, we'll note that. But so point being, Joseph Holmes catches him with a jumping, flying knee right to the chin, 30 seconds in. It was beautiful. Sick. I thought it was over. I'm screaming for the ref to call the fight because he's eating shots.
I was freaking out. I was like, it's over. Don't fuck us. It's over.
Yeah, right. Amadovsky starts to get back to his feet, and I'm like, no, how are you doing this? Get down. And then, to Joseph Holmes' beautiful credit, he jumps on the neck and gets the rear naked choke 1 minute and 4 seconds in. So it wasn't even close.
Rear naked choke.
It was so bad.
Always talks about like that wasn't even like a jiu-jitsu move. Like they just got him out of there.
It was like a headlock, and Amadovsky was so dazed from the fucking knee. Still, he was like, "I don't even know where I'm at. I'm out."
Yeah, no, seriously. Like that was like Chael overhypes that like every rear naked choke is fake narrative, but like that was like the prime example of like what he's talking. Like that wasn't jujitsu, but yeah, no, I mean Holmes gets the win, fucking saves the parlay, cashes the parlay, buys your ticket out for International Fight Week, and we're gonna have an in-person Beefy Boys for International Fight Week. You heard it here first.
Yeah. So for those at home that weren't cheering for us to hit this parlay and you wanted us to miss out on it, you're with Vegas, and also now you get to see a live Beefy Boys. So for everyone at home, shout out to the parlay.
Oh, it's gonna be a shit show. Oh yeah, we're gonna live straight on YouTube. But yeah, man, I honestly thought Holmes was gonna get a performance of the night bonus, man. I mean, a minute and 4-second knockout with a flying knee. I mean, the flying knee wasn't the knockout, but that's what started the sequence. I mean,
now, do you think I do have a knock before we finish up our prelim wrap right in here, and I think that was an ill-placed fight. I know it was like a great like sell into the main card, right? Like that was a fire knockout. Like we got more on the way. We really didn't, but I think Almeida deserved that spot.
fair. Now, there's something I like about Holmes, just like on a human level, that I'm kind of like not mad that he got like opportunity and he capitalized on that opportunity. I think he won a lot of fans. He's a Dana White looking for a fight guy, so I feel like they're trying to like, you know what I'm saying, give him opportunities. He's a kind of marketable, colored hair, weird mustache, well spoken. You know, so I see honestly both points. I'm gonna ride the fence here and get a splinter in my ass because I see your point and I also see the promotions point. I honestly see both sides of that.
I mean, he's 8-2. You know, he's 6'4". He's got a long reach.
He's 6'4".
Years.
He's the Jamal. You know what he is? He's the middleweight Jamal Hill.
Right, and like he could have a future.
Disrespectful to Jamal Hill, to be honest. But
yeah,
you know what? I'll say this: he's the poor man's Jamal.
Yeah. No,
but
I agree with you.
I honestly said so. That didn't get a bonus. I thought it did. So we'll see. So Almeida and Holmes didn't get a bonus.
Yeah, and I was surprised by that, man. I was very surprised by that. I thought out of all three of those performances, Hooper's might have been the least impressive.
Honestly, I'll take Medic's finish over Hooper's, but I love his body of work, like his performance. But we're talking about the finish here, right? I mean, it is performance of the night, so maybe we're on the wrong side of that. You know,
true
argument.
True, and also great. I would love to just reemphasize this before we cut to the main card. The prelim card here had 5 finishes on 6 fights. And the decision, Martinez Morales was still a banger of a fight.
Yeah. Well, it was just like a beautiful fight, like right.
Yeah,
like,
right.
It was like a symphony, like you know what I mean. It's just Martinez, man. He's that type of fighter. Like if you like Dominic Cruz, like if you like Israel Adesanya, like if you like heady strikers, you like
even kind of a Max Holloway vibe to him.
Yeah. No, I feel you, man. We're high on Martinez, but it's just that bantamweight division. How do you gain any traction? Like you literally you have to have like a gimmick or something like to break through. And he's like the opposite of that. You know what I mean?
He refuses to call anyone out. I mean, directly got asked if he wanted a top 15 fight. Said, I would love to fight anyone ranked, but I would never call anyone out. Yeah. I mean, some of these guys are not in the business of selling tickets for themselves.
Yeah, man, and UFC, we talked about this before, we'll talk about it again. It is that weird blend of sports and entertainment to where it's like, you know what, nobody wants to watch a Detroit Lions Super Bowl, but if they fucking go through the competitive architecture, the NFL can't deny them that opportunity. You know what I mean? There may be a suspect pass interference here or there, you know what I mean? Called down from old Roger, but if they're there, they're there. You know what I'm saying? Like UFC, you reach a point of becoming undeniable. The Beneil Dariush's, the Charles Oliveira's of the world, the 11 fight win streak, whatever, however many. But there's faster routes there, right? Like you can accomplish the same thing with 5 wins as you can 11 wins if you play that other game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You're so right, because I don't know where I was going to go with that, but I'm going to agree with that on the whole.
Yeah, we can agree with that. We can end on that note, and we'll be right back for the prelims, man. Yeah, we'll be right back in a couple moments for these. I mean, for the main card. That was the prelims because we're on the Beefy Boys breakdowns. We're the show that does the prelims and the main card. We'll be back with the main card. Can't wait, brother.
Yes, sir. See you in a second.